it was terrifying, the whole thing. And it was so chaotic because I didn't know when I was getting into surgery. All of this was happening. I was weirdly calm though, because I'm like, you know what? I feel like this year has taught me just like, you just got to roll with it and it is going to work out.
You've been up and down the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
What is it like to not be able to do what you love so consistently?
It is really humbling, honestly. Like, I think just because what my last few years have been were win an Olympic medal, run the American course record at New York, and then honestly, I have really struggled since then. I've been very injured. I have really kind of tried to put a priority on addressing a lot of mental health stuff. I'd ignored it for a long time and tried to push it down, and then that just doesn't work. And so I have really tried to be very intentional with actually confronting these things, because those are the biggest things that are holding me back as an athlete. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the life of any athlete who is in an Olympic sport, I feel like our lives move in cycles and 4-year cycles. And I think this last 4-year cycle has been very instructive to me of like teaching me how I want to be as a person and setting myself up for hopefully the next 10 years.
So the epitome of maybe the bottom of the roller coaster was having surgery in Paris.
My dude, there have been so many bottoms this year. But yeah, I would say that was a real rock bottom of having barely been able to run the last 9 months, not being able to train, finally doing like a little bit here and there and being like, okay, I feel like, thank you, God, for teaching me all of these lessons over this last year. Thank you for giving me these struggles. And he's like, bitch, not yet. One more emergency appendectomy in Paris.
You said there was a story behind this.
The story behind that is we had gone out to a fabulous dinner the night before, a lot of oysters, a lot of wine, wake up the next morning, and I am so violently ill. Like, the illest I've ever been in my life, just throwing up constantly.
The illest, but like not in a good way.
Not in the bad kind of illest. But like so sick. And my dumb ass just being like, oh my gosh, those oysters. And so I'm throwing up the entire day. I cannot stand up. I am in so much pain. And my friends are finally like, you have to go to the hospital. They take me to the ER in Paris. I sit there for like 4 hours because socialized healthcare, baby. And when I finally get in,
grass is always greener.
Grass is always, no, but that's the thing. That was the bad part of it. The good part of it, as we will get to, is I got in, they did my blood work, they did a CAT scan, and they were like, your appendix is critical right now. You've got to be in surgery within the next like 12 to 24 hours. You are not leaving this hospital. So I stayed overnight. In the morning, they ambulanced me across town to the bigger hospital where they could get me in for surgery that afternoon. And yeah, within 24 hours of being admitted to the hospital, I was surgeried, appendix out, and discharged from the hospital because they were like, you're not bleeding that badly, you can go. And yeah, it ended up being like $2,000. So
wow, that's a good deal.
I know, honestly, I should get surgeries over there more.
That is like
but that was the thing. It was like on top of everything. It was like everything this year of like these freaking knees just like not coming around and like all of this other health stuff. And I'm just like, what else? And it's like, yeah, appendix has got to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's just wild card after wild card.
But I think that's the thing. It's like, that's just life. Like anytime you think that you've got a modicum of control, you have no control. And I was very like, the whole situation was terrifying because nobody spoke English. My phone battery died. Nobody could come back with me. So I can't even my last call was to John at 1 a.m. as my phone is dying. And I'm like, John, I'm going into surgery in the morning. And he's like, what?
And my phone's dead.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't have an adapter.
He should really I think that really speaks to how much I trust John Green as my coach, is that he learned about this before my own mother learned about it. So he is like,
well, you had to recover first.
Yeah, exactly. He is my emergency dial. It was terrifying, the whole thing. And it was so chaotic because I didn't know when I was getting into surgery. All of this was happening. I was weirdly calm though, because I'm like, you know what? I feel like this year has taught me just like, you just got to roll with it and it is going to work out.
So you've either figured out how to like wear it well, or you've truly figured out how to roll with these punches in a way that most can't or don't know how to. The first conversation we had was immediately after Paris. You had just won a bronze medal. And
after Tokyo.
After Tokyo.
Freudian slip there.
After Tokyo. Yes, we're just talking about Paris. After Tokyo. And then you had talked pretty publicly about how the next few months were really challenging for you.
Yeah.
We've since had a handful of conversations in Austin and San Francisco. And I joked, I was like, Molly, we keep having the same conversation over and over again. But I meant the way that running intersects with life. But you were like, yeah, and I'm injured frequently.
Yeah.
And it's been fascinating to hear you speak about this cycle and this like repetitive, I don't want to say inability, but like lack of being able to understand what's going on. But you're approaching it with this like, universe is giving me more lessons. Like, how do you get there? We were talking beforehand and like, it's clearly not easy.
No.
But you've been internalizing it and accepting it in a way that feels a bit unique.
I have been through these cycles quite a bit. I've dealt with these before where it's you either have a very hard to figure out injury, you have a health problem that just they can be gnarly. These things, especially, I feel like the higher the level that you go, the problems just get a lot, like they become slightly more complex. Sometimes it's never just, okay, like just do this one glute exercise and everything's fixed now. A lot of times they are really complex, multifaceted problems, and it's not going to be figured out quickly. And trust me, I definitely have struggled with it. This has been a really hard year, and I have struggled with that sense of like just having no control over the situation. You feel like your life is spiraling, and especially in a sport like running where we are all control freaks, and we really find a lot of solace in like being able to plan out our year. You know what races you're doing. You know where you're going to be going. And that's been the terrifying part of this year. It's like, I've gone through this year. Now we've talked. This is now the third time, I think, fourth time. And each time I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this trail race. Oh, I'm going to try and do that. I'm going to like, and this and all these plans that I had, the reality of the situation is, yeah, my body didn't get better in time. And so I've had to put all of these plans. It's like I set a timeline and that timeline is blown away. And I think after a certain number of times, you're just like, you know what? My body is going to be ready when it's ready. It's having a little bit of that delusional faith to be like, things will get better at some point, but I've got a lot of shit to work through. And that was the thing. It was like the hardest thing sometimes to like accept about this year is like, yeah, all of this stuff did have to happen. Like, I think I had built up certain things in pretty unhealthy ways. And when you build up things like that, they are inherently unstable. And so things did need to fall apart a bit before they can come back together in the way that like I'm really hoping will lead to more sustainability.